It is time to blast off inside the kennel. And now, here is a tomahawk missile himself, Vinndogg Radio.
Woo! 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 Welcome to the kennel. Myself, Vinndogg Radio in the house. This is a Money Bin production. We are live on Podbean.com. You can download the Podbean app right now and find us at Inside the Kennel. That's the title of the show on Podbean. It is the home hub of the Kennel podcast of myself, Vinndogg Radio. You can also add, like, and subscribe and share with friends, neighbors, and families. Let's get together as a community and share our thoughts together. It doesn't have to be agreeable thoughts every time, but we can share our thoughts together. All right? We are available on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcast, and TuneIn Radio, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you so much for listening to The Kennel. In our last episode with Tom Hughes, a great pastor from 412 Church and HopeForOurTimes.com, was on the show, and it was wonderful. It was a blessing to have him on, and the next time I have him, he's going to come in studio, and we're going to barbecue. It's going to be a podcast BBQ. We're going to hit those filet mignons on the grill, and we're going to have a thrilling time giving everybody Jesus. The title of this episode is Cancel Culture and Lying Biden. Oh my goodness. When is it all going to stop, ladies and gentlemen? Lying Biden. All right, so Joe Biden says that he graduated from college with these high honors. Wow. Somebody pulled up an old news clip from the 70s, and this is what they found.
Biden may have more explaining to do.
The new questions stem from taped remarks of Biden during an April campaign appearance in New Hampshire.
Okay, you getting this, right? An April campaign in New Hampshire. Listen to what Biden says.
I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. Went back.
Wait, he's the only one in his class to have a full academic scholarship. Yeah, whatever a halfie means, it can be full. Okay, he's the reason why Common Core math is in session. Oh.
Law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only needed 123 credits.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
Joe Biden ranked 76th in a class of 85 at the University of Syracuse Law School. I mean, this guy comes off this whole thing as a flyweight.
Now Biden says Newsweek is right. His memory had failed him.
And I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
Joe Biden was victimized by the truth.
Bye Biden. He may not know it yet, but I think this is going to be very difficult for him to recover.
Is Joe Biden dead meat, yes or no?
I think so.
Bob?
It's in terminal condition. Terminal.
Eleanor?
Yes, unless he comes in third in Iowa.
Morton?
Dying.
I say dead.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, he said dead. You know why he said dead? Joe Biden lied through his teeth. But Joseph Robinette Biden, he sat there and lied to the media. And this guy is now the president of the United States of America. I just can't put a finger on why people wouldn't do their research on Joseph Robinette Biden, and they say, oh, I've heard all the other stuff, I've heard all this, I've heard all that, and it says it's fake news because of fact checkers. I don't count on anybody to do my fact checking. I do it myself. There are things called vaults that stuff would be left in for people to check out decades later, just in case they got to pull the scoreboard on someone. It is totally ridiculous. Well, here we go again, America. We can have a lying politician to be in office, and he has flaws. The last president had flaws, but he was trying to correct his flaws. He was trying to grow as a man with the American people. I didn't agree with everything that Mr. President said. I like Donald Trump because he was trying to become a better man the next day, better than yesterday. It is okay to make mistakes in life, but it is not okay to slam a man who is trying to redeem himself who gave up his wealth because he loved this country. He really wanted to help America. A lot of folks couldn't see through that, so they just had to throw the belt at him and start lashing at him and give him about 40 lashings every time he was in a press conference. President Trump did a wonderful job. No man is going to be perfect. Let's get that straight, ladies and gents. The only perfect person has ever walked this earth. His name was Jesus Christ. Yeshua. Shabbat shalom, everyone. It's really sad that we all have to tear each other down as human beings. That's one thing about the human race that we do have in common. We can tear each other down in a heartbeat, but we don't know how to lift each other up, whether we agree or disagree with the individual. We're saying, well, you said this about Joseph Robinette Biden. You know, he was a great-great-grandson of a slave owner. Yes, he was. Everybody's afflicted in life. You would never hear a Trump hater say, I prayed for President Trump for his whole term in office. I pray for President Biden, even though I don't agree with him being the president of the United States of America, but I still put my prayers out for him and his family. How many of you can say that you did that for President Trump and no, wait a minute, you hated the guy? I tell you one thing about the Uber left. There is nothing but hate on the side of that fence like I've never seen before. And it all starts with the old bags like Nancy Batman Face Pelosi and Adam Schiff. Shifty Schiff. I don't hate him, but I don't like him. Bernie Sanders, you got robbed again, bud. And that's coming from a conservative like myself. You had the delegates to be the Democratic nominee, but no, we got to get Joe Biden in there, Lunchbox Joe. Well, Lunchbox Joe signed 52 executive orders in less than a month. That averages out to one executive order a week. No, Donald John Trump, when he was president, must have been a dictator, they said. Who's the dictator now, sucker? It looks like the Biden administration is doing the dictation on America. If you don't agree and you don't unite under what I'm saying, there's going to be consequences to be rendered. Yes, elections have consequences, America. And for my friends that are listening in different parts of the world, there are still good, honest, and decent Americans that live in this country. Don't buy what you see on the mainstream media about America, because it's all a pack of bold-faced lies. Here's what's going to happen. People are going to have to come together and say, you know what, we've got to have conversations. Because the more we let it linger, the worse it's going to get. How many of you are ready to have that conversation and say, you know what, we've got to come to grips with what's going on right now. We have to stand up for what's right and not what's wrong. Because it is all backwards right now. What's right is wrong and what is wrong is right. I love this country and I love the people of this country. And God tells me to love others. No matter what. Love thy neighbor as thyself. The greatest commandment that God ever gives is love. But I am not going to love someone who wants to say it's okay to abort preborn babies at an alarming rate. 1 million babies have already died this year around the world from abortion. Close to 70 million babies have died over the past 40 plus years. That's awful. And you're telling me that I have to agree with a guy that's not pro-life? People saying, well, you know, the social justice warriors are on the prowl. Well, if the social justice warriors are really fighting for civil rights, they would be fighting for the lives of 3,000 babies die a day, according to the stats here in America. And half of them are black. The other half is other. So if the social justice warriors are really trying to fight for the civil rights of black people, how about starting with cutting out these abortions? How about letting the black fathers stay in the homes with their children and their wives? Stop leaving the women alone to raise their children. Reach down and grab something and say, you know what? I have got to take charge of my life and my family's life. Is anybody hearing me out there and understanding where I'm coming from? I sincerely hope so, because everybody says, oh, George Floyd. Yes, we all agree that was wrong what happened to George Floyd. But it's also wrong that 1,500 black babies die every day. They don't even get a chance to have a crack at life because they're aborted on the double. And you want to talk to me about social justice? Give me a cotton picking break. This is some demonic, demonized stuff going on here in America, man. If you don't get right with God, it's not going to be right at all. And I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face, because I know and believe that when America gets right with God again, that's when we prosper. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. I will tell you this, I got nothing but love for people, man. And that's why I want people to live. I want that baby to have that chance. I want all these babies, black, white, Latino, Asian, you name it. I want them all to survive so that they can be the next big thing in life. How many of you can say that you want that? Ladies and gentlemen, coming up on the other side, Burgess Owens is going to talk about something awesome. I don't know what it is yet. My producer, Money Ben, hasn't told me, but he says he has a clip from Burgess Owens, and this should be awesome. Burgess Owens is an awesome human being. He's a good man. Very good man. And we're going to get up on this cancel culture. We're going to talk about Gina Carano being canceled by Disney. Oh boy, I can't wait for that. You're listening to the Kennel Podcast right here on Podbean.com, a Money Bin production with myself, Vin Dog Radio. You freaking cockroach! Back in a minute.
More with the street shooter himself right after this. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Vinndogg Radio. He shoots straight from the hip, and if you don't like it, go and stuff yourselves. Back to the kennel with Mr. Keeping It Real himself, Vinndogg Radio.
Don't forget, you can follow us on YouTube at Money Bin Productions with a Z. Let's get back to this one. Welcome back to the Kennel with myself, Vinndogg Radio, a Money Bin production. Yes, indeed. The last segment was pretty cool. I love that sound off. And we are going to talk about cancel culture. How about Miss Gina Carano getting fired from Disney, the oligarchy of media? Yes, Disney is the oligarchy of entertainment. They support China. They support all this pedophilia that's going on in the world. And they are canceling people who think differently from them. So Disney became an agenda organization after the great Walt Disney passed away. It started going down the tubes. That is what we're seeing here in the world today, ladies and gentlemen. That is too bad that happened. And Gina Carano, we are with you, my friend. You speak truth, and you continue to speak truth, and then her management company proceeds to drop her the following day. You know, they want people to capitulate to the nonsense that is going on in Washington, which is called the Biden administration. Yes, I said it. And these uber leftists just totally want to have people of color to play the victim role. Well, not gonna happen on my watch. You know why? Because that's the way the Democrats can get the black people and the Latinos and other minorities into the undertow and continue to vote for them. Hey, if you do this, we'll play your daddy and support you. No, I don't want your support. I want to make my own money. I want to live my dreams out, because that is what America is all about, the pursuit of happiness. And it's not necessarily financially. It is to be free. We have freedom because of God. The Constitution was built on the premise of God, which was written by the founding fathers of our great nation. And if you don't believe me, defer to the Bible and you'll see that it aligns itself. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, those things that give us these wonderful freedoms to say what we feel in America, whether we agree or not. It is a bunch of bull-faced baloney what's going on in this country right now. People need to take a stand for what's right. And I'm talking about speaking up. Don't keep your mouth shut. Because you know the old saying, a closed mouth never gets fed. Because you see the Democrats, boy, they're good at that. They keep their mouths wide open. And they continue to exploit America left and right. Cancel culture revenge. I did a first episode on cancel culture a couple of episodes ago, and I decided I got to do another one because everybody's getting canceled. Retired football player Burgess Owens explains why blacks should not play the victim card in America. You cannot obtain these type of freedoms in different places around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Burgess Owens is going to tell you why we should not be playing ourselves as victims in America, no matter what color you are.
I was blessed to grow up in the Deep South, 60s, days of KKK, Jim Crow, segregation. I say blessed because I grew up in a community that believed in our nation, believed in God, believed in their kids, and they were going to fight to prove they could overcome any obstacle.
Okay, did you hear that? They were going to prove that they can grow up and face any obstacle that was thrown in front of them. Continue, Mr. Owens.
It was a great community that taught us the importance of a flag. It taught us to love God, country, family, respect for women, and authority. And you know the results of that many of you don't know about? In 1960, it was a black community that led our country to growth in the middle class. The black community that led our country, and men matriculated from college. Men committed to marriage, over 70%. Percentage of entrepreneurs, over 40%. Why were we kicking butt in those days, like every other community that was not assimilated at that time?
Because black people were not playing victim cards back then. They were working their tails off. Continue, Mr. Owens.
We loved our country. We believed in meritocracy. We taught our kids to stand for that flag and for what it represented. Not perfect, but the best thing in the history of mankind. I went to the University of Miami, the third black to get a scholarship, graduated in biology and chemistry. Why? Because in my segregated community, we were committed to education. I would go to my dad's laboratory every summer and work. And when a white guy told me I couldn't do it, I spent the next 4 years in college living in that library to prove him wrong. Because my race, like every other race, looked at this country as a place of second chances, of opportunity, and big dreams. Went into the NFL in 1973. No black centers, no black quarterbacks, no black linebackers, no black middle linebackers. Why? Because those are white thinking positions. $50,000 as a bonus as a first-round draft choice. We have guys making $50 million today to play any position they want to, will not stand for their flag because they've been taught by their adults not to love our nation.
Sad.
What can we do here as leaders, guys? Let's put aside the partisanship, appreciate the fact that we have a body here of every color under the rainbow, every background. It doesn't, across this country, we have black police officers, black mayors. You know, as we have more and more freedom to achieve our dreams, we seem to point more and more at other people for the failures that we have when we make bad decisions. What is my message, guys? I'm going to follow what Congressman Lee says. It's not about words. It is about actions. 15 seconds to show our kids that we are adults, that we can agree to disagree, but we love our country enough to at least stand and represent our flag. For a young man in 73 to 83 to stand on that sideline and get teary-eyed because our flag was flying, we've lost that. We're teaching our kids, any mistake you make is somebody else's fault. That is not the way our country rolls, guys.
That's right.
Better than that. Why don't we start off just by one simple action? We talk about actions. One simple action. As leaders, let's stand, let's pledge our flag and say thank you for this opportunity to represent the people we're sent here to represent. And that we will be the example of what unity looks like. Not just a word. We'll act by saying the words to bring our country together, putting our hands on our hearts and meaning it and showing everyone, doesn't matter what side of the aisle we're on, this is one thing we can agree on. Are you back?
That was nice, Mr. Burgess Owens. Very, very nice. Now, here's something that I want to do right now, just because he said we should be pledging the flag. We are one nation under God. Abso-freaking-lutely. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I am going to play children reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, and I hope they do it perfectly to show you adults in Congress what it's really all about.
Ready, begin.
That is how it's done, my friends. The young kids are showing up the adults. The adults can't say one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Nancy Pelosi wants to cancel God in Congress. Are you kidding me? The Supreme Court recognized in the late 1800s the United States as a Christian nation. And if you don't believe me, do your own freaking homework. I am sick of the canceling of people just because you disagree with what they're saying. Well, guess what? We should cancel CNN and all these other Brokeback Mountain networks. That's not fair. We shouldn't do that. We have to be better than this. It is totally ridiculous that when people speak their minds, they get canceled. I value everyone's opinion because I want to know where people are coming from so I can understand. And maybe by doing that, we can grow together. It is getting to a point where people are just like devouring one another. I remember when people were able to have conversations all the way to the finish line, and they would disagree in the conversations, and then they would agree and find some type of common ground to work things out to get it done for righteousness. The tomfoolishness has reached the highest level ever in American history. I'm always willing to work with people when they want to get to a higher level of common ground for the greater good of all of us. And I'm not talking about that mediocre stuff in society that they call a higher level of common ground, where nothing gets done. If something goes wrong for me, I have to blame somebody else. I have to be the victim because of somebody else, even though it's not their fault. I'm not playing that game. If I mess up, it is my own fault and it is no one else's fault. The world is getting more upside down by the second. It's really sad to see people going at each other's throats like no other. Father against son, mother against daughter, brother against sister, sister against brother, cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents, friends, neighbors. If people don't start to get together and mend these fences, the destruction of America is going to be faster than ever in a blink of an eye. Or shall I say in a twinkling of an eye? My friends and fellow Americans, all across this great nation and people who love America around the world. I'm going to end the show on this note. And I'm going to say these words from the late, great Patrick Henry. Give me liberty or give me death. And I'm going to play a piece from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I think this is the perfect month for it. As you're about to hear the words from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. himself, they were not just for blacks. It was for everyone from every people group. And people want to destroy the man's name and erase him from history in the classrooms and cancel him out and make him look like a bad guy. Martin Luther King Jr., I have a dream speech. Here you go. Roll the audio, Mr. Moneybin.
I have the pleasure to present to you Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. Five score years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. This nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted. Hallelujah. Every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is a faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, "My country, tears of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring. From the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire, let freedom ring. From the mighty mountains of New York, let freedom ring. From the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania, let freedom ring. From the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado, let freedom ring. From the curvaceous slopes of California. Not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring. And when this happens, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. right there. He spoke of freedom and not with violence. So when you hear these organizations like Antifa and BLM preaching their bogus propaganda, don't even give them an ear's second. The protest that happened would have actually been peaceful. But I'm not going to get too much into that. I'm just going to tell you, we are born to love one another, to take care of each other, because that is what God intended. God loves every one of you, and so do I. So let's love one another. Let's reflect on what we're supposed to do as mankind. Let's get in the spirit with God together, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, people of different groups, because when our skin gets cut, guess what? We all bleed red and we all chase rain. Thank you so much for listening to the Kennel Podcast with myself, Vin Dog Radio, a Money Bin production. And on the next episode, it's going to be a doozy. And I'm trying to pull in a surprise guest. And I think he's going to be like a guy running for office in Massachusetts. So it's going to be awesome. And guess what? Massachusetts, the New England states, the home of the Pilgrims, Plymouth Rock. That's awesome. Whether you are black, white, Mexican, Latino, Cuban, Colombian, Native American, Asian, Jew, Gentile. Guess what? We're all one people, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't mean to burst your bubble. But we're all one people and one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. I can't say it enough. And we'll see you soon right here on the Kennel, right here on podbean.com. You freaking cockroach, roach, 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 roach.